Imagine boarding a plane on Christmas Eve, expecting a normal journey home. Now imagine that plane being struck by lightning. Imagine it breaking apart thousands of feet above the Amazon rainforest. That's exactly what happened to 17-year-old Juliane Koepcke in December 1971. One moment she was sitting beside her mother on Lanza Flight 508. The next, she was falling through the sky. The aircraft had been torn apart by a violent storm, scattering wreckage and passengers across miles of dense jungle. When Juliane regained consciousness, she was lying on the rainforest floor. She was injured, confused, and completely alone. Her collarbone was broken, her body was covered in cuts and bruises, one eye was swollen shut. Yet somehow, against every odd imaginable, she was alive. Most people would have believed the worst was over. In reality, the hardest part of her journey was only just beginning. The Amazon rainforest is one of the most unforgiving places on Earth. Danger hides everywhere. Venomous snakes, disease, insects, predators, and Juliane had no map, no supplies, and no idea where she was. But she did have one thing: knowledge. Her parents were zoologists who had spent years studying the rainforest. Growing up around them, Juliane had learned a simple survival lesson: follow water. Streams become rivers. Rivers eventually lead to people. So instead of panic, she focused on the next step, then the next, and then another. Day after day, she followed small streams through the jungle, hoping they would eventually lead somewhere safe. She had no guarantee they would. She had no guarantee she would survive, but she understood something many people forget. When you're lost, movement is often better than fear, so she kept moving. The days that followed pushed Juliane to her absolute limit. Food was almost impossible to find. Her injuries became infected. Mosquitoes swarmed her constantly. Exhaustion followed her every step, and at one point she discovered parasites living inside one of her wounds. Still, she kept going. She slept on the jungle floor. She waded through rivers. She battled loneliness and fear that most people can barely imagine. Then came another devastating moment. She began discovering the remains of other passengers from the crash, a brutal reminder of how close she had come to death. It would have been easy to give up, easy to sit down and wait, easy to believe rescue would never come. But Juliane continued following the water. She continued believing that there was a way out. 11 days after falling from the sky, that decision finally paid off, because ahead of her was something she hadn't seen since the crash: human beings. After 11 days alone in the rainforest, Juliane stumbled across a small camp used by local workers. She was exhausted, weak, barely able to continue, but she'd made it. When the workers returned, they immediately realised something extraordinary had happened. This wasn't just another traveller. This was the missing girl everyone believed was dead. The workers treated her wounds and helped her back to civilization. Against all expectations, Juliane had survived, but she was the sole survivor of the entire plane crash. Think about that for a moment. A plane falls from the sky. The jungle tries to finish what the crash started. 11 days pass, and somehow one teenage girl walks out alive. Most people would spend the rest of their lives defined by that moment. Juliane chose a different path. Instead of becoming trapped by the tragedy, she built a future beyond it. As the years passed, Juliane continued her education and followed her parents' footsteps. She became a scientist. Remarkably, she returned to work in the very rainforest that had nearly taken her life. Many people spend years trying to avoid difficult memories. Juliane faced hers head on. Her survival story became known around the world, but she never allowed it to become her entire identity. And that's where the real lesson begins, because most of us won't face a plane crash. Most of us won't spend 11 days alone in the Amazon, but every one of us will face storms, failed businesses, broken relationships, unexpected setbacks, moments where life seems impossible. Juliane's story reminds us that survival rarely comes from having all the answers. It comes from taking the next step, and then another, and then another, even when you can't see the finish line. Juliane survived because she refused to stop moving. She didn't know where safety was. She didn't know if rescue was coming. She simply kept taking the next step. Whatever storm you're facing right now, keep moving forward. Your way out may be closer than you think. If you enjoyed Juliane's story, there are countless other examples of extraordinary people achieving extraordinary things when life pushed them to the limit. Visit UnleashYourStorm.com and explore the Whirlwinds collection, where you'll find real, verified stories of courage, resilience, determination and survival from around the world. Because sometimes the inspiration you need isn't found in a motivational quote, it's found in the story of someone who refused to give up, and their story might just help you keep going through your own storm.